directors, guests, and most of all, our dearmost speaker for the day, retired IG Perumalsamy. So most of you all will be familiar with the movie, Surya movie, Jai Bhim, and the character played by Prakash Raj. You will know who it is now very shortly. So a hearty welcome to you, sir, and welcome to one and all. So regarding the activities of the last week, the last meeting was a virtual meet, again a speaker meet by our own Rotarian past President Balaji Arun Kumar, who spoke on education in this pandemic times. He very beautifully presented the advantages and the disadvantages of offline classes. Or you can say either way, offline or online classes, the advantages we have and what are the disadvantages. We were about 40 members who attended the program, and it was a very educative program, in fact, education in this pandemic times. So thank you, past President Balaji Arun Kumar. And during the week, we had made some donations to we had a project of supplying filling of oxygen cylinders to the Valpara GH. Rupees 7,000 was donated towards this cause, and now we have IG retired Perumalsamy, who hails from Palni, who he has topped various top posts in the IPS. He was also at the Indian High Commission in Kuala Lumpur. And I won't go further on because he will be formally now introduced by again our Rotarian Sivashabri. Introduction of our chief guest.
Mr. Perumalsamy IPS was born in a small village near Palani in the year 1938. After his college studies, he joined police service in 1963 as a DSP. After training, he served in Kadalur district from 1965 to 1967. From 1967 to 1969, he was assigned as ADC to Governor Sardar Ujjal Singh. He served as Assistant Commissioner of Police in Chennai City from 1969 to 1971. In 1972, he was promoted as Superintendent of Police and posted command a DSP battalion in NEFA, Arunachal Pradesh. It was followed by a stint to guard the 90,000 Pak prisoners of war in Bareilly in UP. In 1973, he was posted as SP of Trichy. From 1975 to 1977, he was promoted to Deputy Commissioner of Police in Trichy City. During this period, he was deputed for 3 months training in UK. On return, he took as SP for Vigilance and Anti-Corruption for 2 years. From 1979 to 1980, he was posted as Deputy Commissioner of Headquarters in City. From 1980 to 1988, he was on deputation to Government of India to RAW, that is Research Analysis Wing. During this period, he was posted to Indian High Commission in Kuala Lumpur as first Secretary Consular for 2 years. On return from Kuala Lumpur, he opted to get back to state service. He retired as IG CBCID in 1996. We take a great privilege in welcoming Mr. Perumalsamy IPS for the speech today. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Also, I'd like to add a small point. His spouse and better half, Madam Saudamani, is a very active member in our own Inner Wheel Club. Thank you, sir. All yours, sir.
Thank you very much, all office bearers and members of the Rotary and past presidents. I extend a very hearty thanks to all of you, especially Mr. GD, who spotted me and then who probably initiated this meeting. I'm very grateful to you, sir. Now, Jai Bhim is brought in here. It has actually become a very popular movie. the origin of this Jai Bhim was in the year 1994, when I was IG crime. There was a direction from the High Court of Madras, Justice Mishra, asking me to investigate into the missing man, Rajkarno, as a habeas corpus petition filed by Advocate Mr. Chandru. And he insisted that this man is missing for last 1 year. Last he was seen in the police station in Kamapuram near Neyveli. And there's ample evidence, eyewitness evidence to show that he was very badly handled, beaten, and it is suspected that he died in custody and something has happened to the body. So for 1 year, local people were talking to the police and then tried to negotiate something. It all failed, and finally they come to Mr. Chandru. But the affidavit filed by them was in great detail relating to the torture, people involved, and the kind of beating, stamping on the chest and all that. And then instead of going to CBI, the state requested why not it be handled by the crime branch. Then Justice Mishra gave the option to Chandru. We will keep it in the state itself, but the choice of officer is yours. He was so nice, allowing Chandru to select an officer from among the Tamil Nadu police. So Chandru chose me, it seems. That's what I was told. And the orders came to me. So the man who was supposed to have been killed a year earlier is to be identified under his whereabouts, remnants of the body, or whatever happened has to be concretely proved. That was the job of mine. So I camped near the police station for a week with a little staff, a small number of people to assist me. We made inquiries in all the neighboring police stations for any suspicious sort of recording of these road accident cases. Finally, we landed in Mainsmriti police station. It is the last station of Trichy district on Kumbakonam highway. There were 2 cases of road accident. In one case, the accused was the deceased was identified by the relatives and the body was taken away. In the other case, the deceased was it remained unidentified. No claim has come up. There was luckily they did the correct job in taking the photograph, and postmortem also was done. And naturally, the body was disposed of at government cost. The photograph was identified as the missing man, Rajkarno, that established as to what happened to the man. And postmortem report revealed a number of injuries, which also corresponded to the manner in which the torture was inflicted. So when the report was given, Justice Mishra was so impressed about the thing. And then the further action was taken, further investigation to establish the culpability of the people involved, and a charge sheet was filed. The sub-inspector and 4 PCs were sentenced to life. This is what happened. And maybe I heard subsequently when one of them, maybe the sub-inspector, died in prison later on. So this is what happened to Rajkarno's case. And 3 years ago, Mr. Jnanavelu, film director. I did not know he was a film director at that time. A colleague, through my colleague, he wanted to meet me. He said, he can come. He started asking about this case. His surprising question was, how did you give a report against your own department, government? It is very unusual. So this is not unusual as far as I am concerned. I was asked to find out the truth, and this was the truth, and I reported truthfully what I saw. So that, for him, it was totally unusual. And he asked me for nearly 2 hours he spent with me, and then went on noting down also. He was a writer. I thought he was bringing out a book about it, a novel or a book, something like that. This is how Jnanavelu comes in. And this is the origin of Jai Bhim movie. And when I saw it, it was exactly what happened they brought out. The violence you see in the movie is no exaggeration at all. It's actually a little toned down. In fact, in reality, much worse happened there. They didn't spare even the women folk. So this is what happened. Regarding this, if people want to raise any points, you can do.
Hello, sir. This is Vivek, Secretary of Rotary Club. Yeah, the one question I had was how realistic the movie was. I think you have already answered that in the last point. So do you feel your character as well as the other characters were portrayed in the realistically, or little exaggeration was done, sir?
Yeah, it was surprisingly, I found it was fairly realistic.
Okay.
The way he moves, the way he reacts, that is correct. Because Jnanavelu proved to be a great director. He has observed me. The 2 hours, he studied my personality. He studied my movements, my way of talking. All that he has briefed, I think, Prakash Raj, and he has done well.
Great. So, sir, in the real world scenario, if such a, let's say like there is a false accusation has been made, what relief does the accused have?
Again, repeat the question, please.
If a false accusation has been made, like that we have seen, especially in the movies, that they give like ganja case or those kind of cases, falsely accusing someone. So, what relief does this accused have with them?
This is a very unfortunate situation. In this particular case, he is suspected, and the sub-inspector goes on beating him, asking him to confess to the crime. This poor fellow, how will he confess? He says he did not commit the crime. He was not the real culprit. And in such a situation, if he confesses, yes, I did it, then he must show how he went about it, how he collected how he disposed of the stolen material. All that will follow. So there's a limit to the question of interrogation also. And without caring for his denial, they went on beating. That was the brutal thing. For a couple of days, he was kept in the station. And not only the sub-inspector, even the constables, they got involved. It was like a hobby. They started beating. This is what happened. And regarding remedy in a case like this, unless somebody in the village takes it up at a higher level immediately, then there's a possibility. Actually, in the village it happens. I have seen the police station. Their neighboring houses are there. They would have heard the noise. They could have alerted the higher officials, sent telegrams.
Uh-huh.
Such things can to some extent deter. There's a
Okay.
possibility. Yes.
Sir, in the movie, they have shown that actually the actual culprit was the sub-inspector. But in reality, was it all the same, sir?
Culprit, as far as this illegal detention and
No, sir, the culprit who stole the jewelry.
that is not clear. Actually, for story they brought it probably.
Okay.
In reality, that case, to my knowledge, it remained undetected at the stage.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay.
Yes.
So anyone else has any questions? You can please go ahead.
So many opposition statements actually was coming up when the film was being released. Can you please tell us the reason for why the name was changed or something like that?
It's not clear. It's not very audible.
Clarity இல்லைங்கறாரு.
Clarity இல்ல. Can you hear me, Vivek? What?
இப்ப கேக்குதுங்க.
Okay.
இப்போ better.
The film release ஆனப்போ நிறைய opposition statements எல்லாம் வந்துச்சுங்க. நேம் வந்து சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டாங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நிறைய பேப்பர்ல எல்லாம் பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணாங்க. அதனால அதை பத்தி ஏதாவது சொல்ல முடியுங்களா?
Filmல வந்து yeah, I got that point. No, first they objected the calendarல வந்து ஏதோ ஒரு vessel இருந்தது. I think that is Agni Kundam. It's I believe it's a symbol of the Vanya Association. Then the sub-inspector in the movie is called Guruswami. And it so happens there was one guru called Kaduvati Guru, who is none other than the sister's son of Ramdas. So they presumed that the movie's intention, the movie taker's intention was to denigrate the Vanya community. These are the two things. Once the calendar vessel was mentioned, they immediately removed it. The film was edited. And as far as Guru Swami is concerned, they said, it is not at all our intention. We do not know this coincidence. It's unintentional. And they stood the ground. This is what happened.
Anyone else?
Interestingly, they also demanded as a compensation 5 crores from the producer. So one can see the intention of raising such problems. It died a natural death.
Sir, actually, I have one unrelated question. Like in the case of Satan Kulam, the accused has to be produced before the magistrate before being imprisoned. So I've been told that most of the time the magistrate goes along with the what the police statement without interrogation. Is it true, sir? I mean, such kind of things happen?
It all depends on the way the police presents the case. Normally, when there are injuries, they will account for the injuries.
Okay.
And the magistrate will get convinced about that. Of course, in the heart of his heart, he will know that violence was used. But they will give some reason, acceptable reason, and then that will be all right. So that is how things go on. In certain cases, use of violence becomes necessary. I'll tell you one or two things.
Yes.
But otherwise, normally the tendency to use force at the station by even the constables is there. I don't deny that. It is there. Totally unnecessary, unwarranted use of force and rough handling of not only accused, even people go there with some representation, they are not welcome, they are not treated properly. So that attitude, there's a lot of sort of change has to come about in the attitude of the policeman at the station level. And I had a case in Trichy in those days. One small jewelry shop was looted. We identified a few fingerprints and it led to one criminal. It was established he was the criminal, only criminal. He admitted that he did commit the crime, but would not say what happened to the jewels. In a situation like that, you go on questioning him for a couple of days, and he doesn't relent, doesn't come out with the truth. And so the inspector came and told me that this is what's happening. I myself personally knew. I told them to treat him very well, give him all comforts, and see he comes out with the truth. It didn't work. And finally, they had to use the strong arm method. After that, he came out. He had the jewels concealed in his sister's place, a village near, between Madurai and another town, I think. So the entire jewelry was recovered. So this is a situation where I felt it became inevitable to use some violence, force. So this is one example. Otherwise, normally much of the violence used is avoidable. That's what I feel personally.
Okay. Any more questions? You can unmute yourself and
Say that again.
anyone else has any questions? They can unmute and ask the question. Yes, Rajmohan. Question?
Okay. ஏதாவது கேசஸ் இருந்தா சொல்லுங்கண்ணா. அண்ணா வேற உங்க டைம்ல ஏதாவது இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் கேசஸ் இருந்தா அதை பத்தி சொல்லுங்க.
இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் கேஸ் வரும், நான் சொல்லணுமா? இந்த திருச்சி டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்ல நான் இருந்தப்போ ஒரு ஆசிரமம் வந்தது. திருச்சி டவுன்ல இருந்து பக்கத்திலேயே தான், ஒரு 2-3 கிலோமீட்டருக்குள்ளேயே ஒரு இடம். ஒரு ஆசிரமம் வந்து நிறைய பேர் அங்க போயிட்டு தங்கிட்டு இருந்தாங்க, போயிட்டு வந்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க. கொஞ்சம் விஐபிஸ் எல்லாமே போயிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. பிரேமானந்தான் ஒரு சாமியார், அவரு ஸ்ரீலங்காவில இருந்து வந்ததாக சொல்லி தகவல். கொஞ்ச நாளைக்கு அப்புறம் அங்க இருந்து கொஞ்சம் சில விஷயங்கள் அப்படி கசிஞ்சு வந்தது. அவருடைய துரதிர்ஷ்டத்துக்கு அங்க இருந்த ஒரு ஆளை வெளியே வந்துட்டார். வந்து இந்த மாதிரி இவர் ரொம்ப அக்கிரமம் பண்றாரு, லேடிஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து அபியூஸ் பண்றாரு, பிசிக்கல் அபியூஸ். அண்ட் எதிர்த்து கேட்ட சில 2 பேர்த்த அடிச்சு கொன்னு அங்கே புதைச்சிட்டாரு. 2 பேர்த்த அடிச்சு கொன்னு புதைச்சாச்சு அப்படிங்கும் போது அது எங்க ஜூரிஸ்டிக்ஷன்ல வந்துடுது. ஸோ சிஎம் லெவலுக்கு அது போயிடுச்சு. ஆக்சுவலா என்ன வேடிக்கை அப்படின்னா, அப்போ வந்து சின்னம்மா அவங்க ஃபேமிலி எல்லாம் கூட அங்கே விசிட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அந்த அளவுக்கு இவர் மேல ஒரு மரியாதை இருந்தது. இவன் இந்த மாதிரி செய்யறான்னு சொல்லி அவங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சிருக்காங்க. போய் சொன்ன இடத்துல தோண்டி பார்த்தா எலும்பு கூடெல்லாம் இருந்தது. ஸோ 2 மர்டர்ஸும் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ்ட். கேஸ் இன்வெஸ்டிகேட்டர் இவனை அரெஸ்ட் பண்ணி உள்ள அனுப்பிச்சு விட்டோம். அப்போ இருந்த செஷன் ஜட்ஜு பானுமதின்னு சொல்லி அந்தம்மா, she gave him double life sentence. அவர் ஜெயிலே அவர் கொஞ்ச நாளைக்கு அப்புறம் இறந்துட்டார். இது ஒரு ஆமா, அந்த அக்யூஸ்ட் சாமியார் போயிட்டார், இறந்துட்டார்.
ஐ திங்க் ரீசென்ட்லி தான் இறந்தாருன்னு நினைக்கிறேங்க.
இல்ல, அவர் அப்பவே இறந்துட்டாரு.
அப்ப இறந்துட்டார். ஓ சரி சரி.
ஒரு 10 இயர்ஸ் ஜெயிலே இருந்திருப்பாரு. இருந்துதான் செத்தாரு.
சரி சரி சார். அப்ப நீங்க ரால எல்லாம் இருந்து ராவோட இதை பத்தி இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் பெருசா நம்மளுக்கு எதுவும் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் தெரியறது இல்ல. ஸோ மெயின் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் என்னவா இருக்கும் சார் ரால? நீங்க சொல்ல முடிஞ்சதை மட்டும் சொல்லுங்க.
நான் ரால இருந்தேன். பட் நான் செய்த வேலை கோலாலம்பூர்ல கான்சுலர் ஒர்க்கு. கான்சுலர் ஒர்க்குன்றது பாஸ்போர்ட் சர்வீசிங் அண்ட் விசா. பாஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் நம்ம இந்தியன் நேஷனல்ஸ் அங்க இருக்காங்க, அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு சமயத்துல வந்து நைபரிங் கண்ட்ரில கூட அங்க மிஷன் இல்லைன்னா அவங்க பாஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் முடிகிற மாதிரி இருந்தா
சரி
எங்ககிட்ட வந்தா நாங்க எக்ஸ்டெண்ட் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருவோம். விசா ஃபாரினர்ஸுக்கு விசா கொடுக்குறது இந்த கான்சுலேஷன் வேலை. அந்த வேலை தான் நான் பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன் ஓப்பனா. ரா வந்து கேட்கும்போது ரா இஸ் கோர்ஸ் இட்ஸ் அ ஃபாரின் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் கலெக்ஷன் ஏஜென்சி. இதுதான் நாங்க பண்ற வேலை. அது எப்படி பண்றோம் எப்படி என்னன்றதெல்லாம் அது டீட்டெயில்ஸ் சொல்றது சரியா வராது. ஐபி இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் பியூரோ இருக்கிறது வந்து வித்தின் த கண்ட்ரி இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் நடக்குது.
ஓகே.
இது ஐபில இருந்து பிரிச்சு ரா போட்டாங்க. ரால வந்து ரிசர்ச் அண்ட் அனாலிசிஸ் ஒரு கவர் நேம் அது. ஆனா இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் ஓவர்சீஸ் இதே எல்லா கண்ட்ரியும் பண்ணிட்டாங்க.
ஓகே.
And some of your experiences in the UK, sir?
UK, 3 months I was there on training in the National Police College. It's a course for all Commonwealth office countries officers. For 10 people, we were all there. From Brunei, Australia, and then Middle East, one or two. Jamaica, Caribbean islands. So it was an interesting course, and they treated us very well, and accommodation, and leadership course. Actually, the course is run but it's an experience going to UK, staying there, and seeing their culture. And I asked for a visit to the Scotland Yard, famous Scotland Yard. அதையும் பார்த்தேன் ஒரு நாள் போய். இங்க வந்து officers they treat very well. Every evening அங்க 7 o'clock வந்து dinner will be over. Then one of the directing staff, an officer, he will come with his car and take us all to the local pub. UK pub is a ritual, I found. Normally, most people visit pub after a meal. So it or beer gets after, then they enjoy, and then by 10 o'clock they close. And the discipline, and the driver officer is a senior officer driving. He won't take the drink. I am driving, I won't take it. He will say that. By 10, pub close, then we'll get back. So this was a routine thing. We really enjoyed it. That was 77.
பிரிட்டிஷ் போலீஸ் சிஸ்டம் நம்ம சிஸ்டம் ஏறக்குறைய ஒண்ணா இருக்குங்களா? எப்படி சேஞ்சஸ் இருக்குங்களா?
ஏறக்குறைய ஒண்ணா தான் இருக்கு. ஒரு டிஃபரன்ஸ் என்னன்னா, பீப்புள் யூஸ் டு கம்பேர். இங்கிலாந்துல வந்து எல்லாம் குவைட்டா இருக்கு, போலீஸ் வந்து மிஸ்பிஹேவ் பண்றது இல்லை, தே டோன்ட் யூஸ் வயலன்ஸ். இது ஒரு ஃபேக்ட் தான். லண்டன் பாபி இஸ் அன்ஆர்ம்டு. இங்க அப்படி இல்லை. நம்ம ஆள் வந்து எப்பவுமே ஆர்ம்ஸ் தான் இருக்கு இங்க. அதே லண்டன் பிரிட்டிஷர் தான் இங்கேயும் போலீஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணாரு. தென் அங்க இருக்கிற போலீஸ்க்கு லத்தி கூட கிடையாது. ஸ்மால் பேட்டன் வச்சுட்டு கையை பின்னால வச்சுட்டு தான் பெட்ரோல் போயிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. இங்க லத்தி அடிக்கிறதுக்குன்னு ஒரு பெரிய லத்தி, அதை கொடுத்து அதை எப்படி அடிக்கிறது, எங்க ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்து பெட்ரோல் பீட் போறது. தென் அங்க வந்து ஃபயர் ஓபன் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு சுச்சுவேஷன் ரொம்ப ரேர். அங்க ஃபயர் ஓபன் பண்ண அவசியம் வந்தா கவர்மெண்ட் மஸ்ட் கிவ் பெர்மிஷன், ஹோம் செக்ரட்டரி. இங்க அப்படி இல்லை, ஸ்டேஷன் ஹவுஸ் ஆஃபீஸர். இங்க ஸ்டேஷன் ஹவுஸ் ஆஃபீஸர் வந்து சமயத்துல எஸ்ஐ இல்லாம லீவ்ல போயிருந்தா ஹெட் கான்ஸ்டபிள் கூட இருப்பார் ஸ்டேஷன் ஹவுஸ் ஆஃபீஸர். He is also empowered to open fire in a situation warranting fire. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு வித்தியாசமான ஒரு அப்ரோச் அண்ட் ட்ரைனிங். ஏன்னா இங்க வந்து they had to keep people under control, oppress them, put fear in them so that they will obey. So this is what happens. And use பண்ணலன்னா people also were well behaved. They all became well behaved because for centuries they were looting the rest of the world as colonies. பணம் போச்சு, they had all the wealth, they had the comfort. There was no need for them to be rough. And also police behavior also is a reflection of the society. How is the society now? There is unnecessary violence, unwarranted violence. And what kind of political leadership is there when they choose senior officers? 3 years ago, we had a shameful incident. Director CBI, sitting director CBI, he is given a big bungalow in Delhi. Anga, cold scam involved on our accused. He was visiting him every now and then in the house. Get a register entry. So this was raked up on a public interest litigation. The matter was taken to the Supreme Court, and he is still facing that case. Our political leadership chooses that man as the CBI director. When the director is like this, then what sort of guidance he will give to the subordinates? So, to a large extent, leadership responsibility is there in the departments going correct in the correct way.
Sir, may I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, my name is Dr. Jai Bhim. I have been in UK for 45 years, and I have greatest regard for your personal and public life as a police officer and as a family man. Sir, my question is this. I thought I always feel you are a perfect English gentleman, but regarding the appointment of high-level police officers, is there any difference in the appointment in UK and here? Is it a political appointment, or is it some form of public participation appointment, sir?
Basic difference I find here, the early days, the work and conduct were truthfully recorded in their personal files, and that was taken serious note of when the question of promotion came. Of late, I will say, it has become routine. You join the force, you end up at the top. So that is what is happening here. In Britain, mostly they join as constable level, and by examinations, they go up. And senior level, one interesting difference I noticed was, say at the DAG's level, let us say, when that comes, if he is promoted to that level, he will be sent to another county, another state, not in the same place. For instance, the anomaly will be, suppose in Tamil Nadu, a DAG is promoted, SP is promoted as DAG. He won't be kept in Tamil Nadu, he will be sent to Andhra Pradesh. But then the political setup and system is slightly different. And it's only county police there, like we have state police. But the only thing is a smaller area and a smaller number. But this change, they say a new blood is brought in. And so it is in the interest of administration, it is doing well for us. This is what is happening in UK. And UK selection is fairly very high, very tough. And anything adverse is taken serious note of. So there is a difference between India and UK. Yes, Dr. Jaipal.
Recently, Boris Johnson's case, the high-level police officer said he may be even arrested. Can that kind of power available for police here to arrest the Prime Minister?
If a crime is committed, law doesn't bar anybody from avoiding arrest. The crime is committed.
Thank you.
Criminal procedure code is very clear. Wherever crime is committed, police should act. For instance, one situation is after some incidents in 1972 in a college hostel in Trichy, government issued an order saying that anything happening in the college or school campus without the request of the head of the institution, police should not enter. Imagine a situation. Some rowdies enter the college hostel and start beating or even threatening to kill people. If the head of the institution is not available or is not aware of what is happening or is not forthcoming to give a complaint, can police keep quiet? Criminal procedure code is clear. An offense is taking place, or the threat of offense, you have to get into. And I entered in city, Pachepas College, we had a situation like that. I entered. At that time, actually, assembly was on. So nothing happened. I was questioned departmentally, why did you go? I said, this is what happened. If I didn't go, the neighboring slum dwellers would have entered the college. They threatened to enter, and they would have beaten up. Then we will have to answer as to how we allowed these fellows to get beaten up. So practical approach has to be adopted.
Thank you.
Okay.
John?
Hello.
Yes, John.
Yes.
Should we wrap it up or any more questions?
Yeah.
Sir, you'd like to say anything else, sir?
Maybe I will think loudly.
Yes.
The problem with our administration, I think not only the police department, all departments, there is no willingness to serve the people. People in various services, they forget that they are there to serve the people. The department itself is called police service, administrative service. So if attitudinal change is required, there should be it's a pleasure to help people with departments when they come for some. It's not an obligation. They come with problems. We are there to we are there to handle the problem, to solve the problem. And small steps, go a long way in establishing goodwill. One instance I'll tell you. As a deputy commissioner, on father and daughter was a college student. They appeared before me and said, next day was the shooting competition. And suddenly the North Indian officers, they brought in a regulation saying that all shooters must have a gun license. It's never done. NCC and the police department, when you are under training, there's no need for a license. It's all by implication. And suddenly to disqualify some people, I think they brought this regulation, and these people were in jitters. This girl was a good shot, and they told me this is what's happening. I want a license. Normally, arms license, it takes 1 month to 6 weeks, verification and all that. Here is a different situation. So I told them, I gave the application, you fill in, you give the reason, you give me a letter. And get the letter from the cadet department also. With that, I recommended to the commissioner. Tomorrow is the shooting competition. This is the situation. We may waive routine inquiry. I'm satisfied with the bona fides, and we can issue the gun license. It was given. In 2 hours' time, it was given. And subsequently, much later, I came to know that the girl participated and she won a prize also. So these are things I could have very well said it's not possible to give one day. You must have come earlier. Situation was such they couldn't have come earlier. So this is a small thing I'm saying, where an extra step helps a lot.
Very rightly said, sir. I think there is attitudinal change that is required, need of the hour.
Yeah, that is very much required.
Yes, sir.
So many a time you would have found there'll be a tug of war always between bureaucracy and the politicians. What is your say on that?
Repeat the question again.
See, like similar case to this, there would have been many incidents where there is a tug of war between the bureaucracy and the politicians in this kind of incidental things. Any experience on that you would like to share?
Yeah, again, I tell you on the incident that reminds me. In Trichy, there was a case of a child rape in Manapari. The sub-inspector did not register the proper case. The accused was arrested by him on a case of drunkenness. Public consumption is arrested, but case is a simple case of drunkenness, not rape. So people somehow found out and they came and represented me. I got a report from them. I immediately asked the DSP to inquire and give me a report. The DSP's inquiry confirmed the allegation. So I placed the sub-inspector under suspension and asked the inspector to take over the investigation. Immediately, the ruling party, at the time DMK, they came, about a half a dozen people. Said, so the sub-inspector is a wonderful officer. You have suspended him. He said, yes, I suspended. Not because he is a wonderful officer, but he has misbehaved. This is the case. So still is very good. He may be good, but then if he has done it to your family, you have to let off. See, such cases you people should not encourage at all. You are the government, ruling party. If action is not taken, your CM only will have to answer in the parliament, in the assembly. Of course, I treated them well and then I advised them and I stood my ground. Then they went back. It happens, see, pressure will be there. We have to talk to them, we have to argue with them, we have to convince them. And if they refuse to get convinced, we let them go to hell. That's all. There's another case. One day, one night, 2 a.m., Trichy Fort Inspector telephoned me and said, "Sir, there's a gang rape in one of the lodges. To register a case." Yes, sir, register, but there's an MLA also involved. How is he involved? I think he was staying, maybe they were all having drinks and he was there. And this couple, they were wayfarers. They went somewhere, they had to go to Theni, it became night. So they took a room in that lodge and stayed, wife and husband. And the poor lady went to the toilet. So the rooms were not attached bathroom, so common toilet. And she was dragged in and then rape took place. And in the course of the action, I asked them how MLA's presence is established. How do you say that? So the complainant says that in the course of the action, somebody cried, "Yo, MLA, Kalapudiya." So that proved the MLA was there. And he was staying around. Lodge owner confirmed. So then he becomes an accused. He has to figure as accused in the FIR, include him also, and whoever others. FIR was drafted. Once the MLA sensed he is figuring in the FIR, he ran. Next morning, 7 o'clock, IG Arul called me. "Why are you chasing this MLA? CM tells me, "You're chasing him." "I'm not chasing him." So he ran to Madras, ran to CM. "I'm not chasing at all. Actually, I want him. He is an accused in a rape case. This is what happened." "Oh, I see. That's all. All right, you go ahead." IG said. So he was a sitting MLA. So things like this, I can imagine. Some people will say that even an inspector would not have informed them. He would have allowed this fellow to go away, and he would have changed the case's profile. So once you are stable and you have your leadership, the inspector knows I can protect him. So they will be truthful also. So this is my experience. I really enjoyed my stay in Trichy, and then naturally people have, the subordinates trusted me, they had great confidence in me, and I didn't let them down.
Sir, may I ask you another question, if I may? Sir, may I ask you another question?
Please go ahead.
Oh, yes, please.
Sir, the question is this. I know that you are a honorable, well-integrated, non-corruptible police officer. Because of these qualities, did you have any problems with your promotion? Because you are not obliging to the politicians. That's first question. The second one, any new police officer who is joining now, what is your advice? Because like John said, the politicians are playing a big role, interfering. Sometimes the interference is good, sometimes it's not good. What is your advice to a police officer you want to join?
As far as I am concerned, this is how I have been behaving in my service. And that has not stood in the way of my elevation in the department. I got my promotions when it was due, so that it's not a problem. And my advice to the officers is, you be truthful and honest and polite. When you say no also, say that politely. And when people try to pressurize, when you expect an argument, best way is to deal with them very politely. Make them sit down and then give them a cup of tea or coffee and then soften them and talk to them. Once things go bad, then you have to be very tough. In 1980, let me tell you one incident. There was 1980, MGR's government was dismissed and elections were called. DMK and Congress were together. MGR and other parties like communists and all were together. MGR was in a procession on Mount Road, and Colonel Karunanidhi's statue was there on Mount Road near Buhari Hotel. So I was posted as Deputy Commissioner Headquarters. My job was administration, but in this case, I was asked to take care of the statue. I had a small number of forts with me, and the procession came. I briefed my men, there will be stones, there will be chapels, all that you expect. And then you have to the extent possible, avoid, have the shield, and no use of lathi without my orders. I cordoned off the place. As I expected, all these things happened. And MGR with his other party leaders, they all came in an open vehicle. They came and stopped there, and they were watching this fun. My intention was to lead these rowdy fellows towards beach side, to the east. And he was standing there. After 5 minutes, I walked to him and requested him. So your funders are all very restless. They are violent also. They said, இங்கிருந்து போயிருங்க, நகர்ந்து போயிட்டா நல்லா இருக்கும், நிக்காம அப்படின்னு சொல்லி I asked him. He smiled and then he started moving up. He moved about 100 yards, then I gave a lathi charge, chasing these fellows in the opposite direction. So that is all. So, and MGR did not, and then he won. MGR won the assembly, he became chief minister. Very surprisingly, he did not disturb me. People thought I'll be shunted out somewhere. So this is my experience.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Look, I'm Balaji here.
Yes, Ms. Balaji.
With the salary levels of policemen as far as governmental service is concerned, I think is way below what it needs to be. Is that true?
Now it is not so. After 72, there was Finance Commission, it gave a rise. And then 96, just I retired, 2 months after my retirement, the new scales came. Now nobody can say they are not paid well. They are paid very well, actually. Till 72, the district SP, district collector's salary was 740, and then allowances, things like that. 72 or 73, it brought to 1,200. And 96, it came to 20,000 plus. Subsequently, there's a rise. Periodically, according to the DNS, this thing, they increase also. So now it is quite adequate. People can stay also. And other perquisites are there. You have normally free accommodation is, of course, there will be 10% rent will be there. Government accommodation is cheaper. So now nobody can complain that salaries are not adequate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed sharing my views with you.
Great, sir. You are a role model for the present officers. It's great.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a wonderful session. You have given a very deep insight about the police department and especially about the background behind Raja Khanna's case. I think on a common man will not have a very good perspective about the police department, but truly from seeing from the other side, there are so much pressures and so much difficulties that they also face. and I've known that India has one of the lowest rates of police personnel per 1,000 citizens. So I think the strain is also there on the police department, and especially at this kind of situation, I think integrity that you have showed, I think that is the need of the hour in the police department. So thanks so much, sir, for this wonderful opportunity. So I have some announcements for the week. So for
Thank
this,
you very much.
thank you, sir. So our Rotarian past President K. Nityanandam is celebrating his birthday on Wednesday, 9th, Wednesday. And on Thursday, February 10th, Rotarian PHS Srihari Murli and Bhargavi are celebrating their anniversary. So that is the announcements. I really thank our Thiru Perumalsamy IPS sir for being here today and giving us this opportunity. I thank all the guests, Rotarians and the Rotractors for being here today. Have a nice night. Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye, everybody. Meeting adjourned.